funny, once you start this slide, things start. So just a quick story before I start, if I may. So my grade 7 daughter was kind of paying attention to me getting ready for this presentation. She had never heard of this format before, of course, and so I said to her, you know, it's okay, Heidi, it's only 20 slides. And she's like, well, how long is that? It's about 6 minutes and 40 seconds. She goes, that is awesome, because if you fail epically, then it's only 6 minutes of failure, she said. All right, it's time to start. So I'd like to use Dr. Seuss to help us tell this story of our school and formative e-assessment. As you know, Dr. Seuss started writing children's books, and they weren't without controversy. He tried to get kids interested and excited about reading. And we at Weber Academy were trying to do the same thing with our kids and assessment. Like every teacher, I want to start with this Dr. Seuss book, and it is I Had Trouble Getting to Sala Salou. In this story, if you remember, a boy leaves seeking a place where there are no troubles, and he realizes as he gets along his journey that there's no such thing, and he has to come back. Similar to us as teachers, we have troubles often with assessment, and assessment piles up, and we want to formatively get to know our kids and assess them properly. And we're using e-assessment to get them to start that conversation, to get engaged in their assessment process as one quick step. We took the landmark study by Black and William as one of our underpinnings to help us understand formative assessment. But we narrowed in, and on our school we use science in grades 7 to 12 as our measure for using e-assessment to raise student achievement. And like the book, If I Ran the Zoo, if you remember, McGrew didn't like the zoo. He wanted to build his own zoo with exotic creatures, crazy critters, and this book maps our journey when it comes to e-assessment. We looked at different textbooks in regards to what they were doing for electronic assessment. We checked out how albertaexambank.com formatted their questions, and we also took a research study out of England to help us understand best practices in formative electronic assessment. And then we came up with our own, like McGrew's Zoo. We decided for us at our school, electronic assessment had to be set the target, so your curriculum objectives, and then most importantly, at the end of each question, provide quality feedback. And finally, kids should be able to try these questions multiple times to gain confidence. So like the Dr. Seuss book, I Can Lick 30 Tigers Today, away we went. Several of us math and science teachers built many, many questions. Some we had access from books, others we came up with on our own, and we were up to 1,000 some questions. But just like the book, I Can Lick 30 Tigers Today, we had our troubles. It wasn't some days 30 tigers we felt like we could lick, it was 10, sometimes even 1. We had all sorts of Moodle issues, we had Wi-Fi troubles, and we had parents that were worried that this was the only way we were assessing kids, which wasn't true. The teachers also were at a stumbling block. As you see in the red here, we had to work hard at the formative piece. Each question had to have a teaching component to it. And this took a lot of time for our teachers to do, and often they weren't given release time. However, like the Dr. Seuss book, Green Eggs and Ham, the kids were saying, keep trying, Sam I Am. Keep trying. And so we surveyed our kids every 6 months just to get feedback in regards to what they were liking. And here's an example of one of the surveys. It was pretty overwhelming. Of the 300 kids we would survey, almost all of them agreed or strongly agreed that these questions were very valuable to them in helping give a stepping stone to learning the material, which is key here. This is my message. And so, kind of like the book, The Lorax, where he says, think of the trees, the truffula trees. It became a very important piece to us with our students because it was what they wanted and what they needed according to their surveys and their responses. has a lot of research on what self-efficacy says, and he says that when you give kids a chance like this, a low-risk chance at mastery, then they're going to become more confident in their abilities, and we were seeing that, as you can see here. And if they weren't confident in coming and talking about their e-assessments, then the data provided from Moodle, which is what we were using, was valuable, and teachers would bring kids in like this question that says only half the kids got it right. A pause. We've had some encouraging results. This graph shows you what's happening to our grade 9 science kids. The graph is showing you the percentage of kids that reach 85% or higher, or standard of excellence, on the grade 9 science exam. And in 2009, then 2010, and finally last year, 2011, we had amazing growth. And so like this book, Hunches of Bunches, where the boy can't make decisions, this e-assessment is giving the kids help in deciding what they don't know and what they do know. And they're coming in at our school in droves at lunch, sometimes in the morning, because the e-assessment is helping them. And so this quote is great. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own. You know what you know. You are the guy who will decide to go. And that's our motto. Again, electronic assessment and multiple choice questions, it's not about that. Here's where we go next. It was interesting to listen to our keynote speaker because we're going to add this piece. It's called confidence-based marking. Not for the numbers and not for the data. The data might be valuable, and yes, it will give us an idea for the kids what their confidence level is. It matches up, as you can see on this next slide. They have to tell whether they're not confident, slightly confident, or very confident, and then they give us the answer. And so it's a plug-in for Moodle that you can easily put in, and so we can start to see trends between, are kids just guessing, or are they not very confident about what they're doing? So thanks, ladies and gentlemen. That's 60 minutes and 40 seconds, and hope you had a snapshot of what we're doing with e-assessment.